Hey, good morning. So what is this? This is the public crypto webinar that I host. I host roughly the third week of the month, third Saturday. It is every week for subscribers to the crypto service on Elliott Wave Trader and Seeking Alpha Crypto Waves. If you're not familiar with services run by myself or founded by myself, started by myself under Avi's Elliott Wave Trader, and Jason Appel has joined. Well, it's been a couple of years now. He's been on staff. We've been running since 2017, going strong. So housekeeping. Well, let me tell you quickly what we do here. I'm going to cover Bitcoin, Ether, GBTC, BITO at a base level, and then a set of charts. That I cover on a weekly report that are my preferred altcoins, crypto equities. I am throwing Ripple in there only because we had news, and I think I got to imagine someone in the audience, someone on Twitter, is aching to have that chart. And then we got a few requests from subscribers. I'm going to be real hard ass on this one, as usual. No requests in the question box. I don't add requests on the fly. They go into the service as request thread, and then I cut it off by 7:30 my time this morning so I can prepare. It's hard enough actually preparing because I'm in Pacific time on the West Coast, and it's actually hard for me to prepare, and I don't actually ever get to fully prepare, so I cut it off early. So I'm not going to take any additional requests today, and I also like to keep that value for subscribers. Second of all, video will be placed on Elliott Wave Trader in the general market room as well as the crypto room, and for of course crypto wave subscribers as well. I'm not publishing the video out on Twitter. Sorry. Again, just reserving some value for subscribers, and I hope everyone understands that. I need to respect people that that value my work enough to keep it going. Other housekeeping is we got a members meeting. I am going to be traveling to LA on Saturday. We have a members meeting on Sunday. If you can join us in LA, that goes for both people on Elliott Wave Trader and Crypto Waves. I'm not going to push out the location here, but if you need the location, let me know. I would love to meet you in person. Jason's going to be there as well. Avi's going to be there, and rest of Zach and Garrett, I believe both will be there as well. So it'll be a good time, and that's a great location there. Let's see. Okay, so I want to also explain to people that are new. Again, I know a lot of people know my work, been doing this for many years, but I want to make sure you understand kind of the basics. I use the Elliott Wave theory at a base level. We do a lot of quantitative things. I have a lot of ways to trade. I don't consider Elliott Wave the only way to trade, but it's a great analysis technique for covering the hundreds of charts that I cover in the service, getting a baseline look at it, seeing where the trades are, and then going from there. It's really fabulous as a technique. It's also great for crypto because a lot of people go, that's a 100-year-old theory, how are you using it on crypto? Well, it's an interesting theory because it really is based on sentiment. And you know what? Crypto is all sentiment. I mean, you really, you're not investing in things that are giving you cash flow. You can't do fundamental analysis from a traditional standpoint. So it's great to use a technique that is very sentiment oriented. There are a lot of things out there in markets that don't move in the same way as Elliott Wave pronounced, but crypto actually does it very well. This does not mean that everything I do should be considered predictive. Plenty of counts break. As I like to say, the ones that break the most are the so-called moon counts. But I still use those counts to give sort of a base level for more intermediate trades. Because even if it breaks on the long term, sometimes we get some great trades on the short term before they die, or whatnot. So it's been very effective. But if you treat it predictively, it'll screw yourself. I mean, I don't know how many times on Twitter I get, get told I'm being wrong. Yeah, people that trade for a living get it wrong. But what it does establish is really key pivots from which we can reduce our risk and take high skew trades. What do I mean by high skew? That means you trade with a very, very low risk aspect compared to what you can potentially gain. And we call that skew. Sometimes one of our analysts, I think, invented that word skew. It also skew has other words in trade, other meanings in trading, but in this regard, it's about keeping the risk small and potential reward high. And crypto is fabulous for that. I mean, we get things from like 2 to 1 to 10 to 1 skew, so to speak, using Elliott Wave theory. And you know, and so as I like to say in crypto, the way to play crypto the right way is to bet very little and make a heck of a lot on the trade, and then don't get married to the trade so you can stop out of loss when you need to. All right, so let's jump in. If you have any questions about that, let's see. I just want to make sure everyone understands what we're doing here. Any questions about that? You know, criticism about the approach? Happy to engage. I've been trading for a living for 5 years now. Been doing it as a hobby for over 20. It took me a long time to be able to do it productively, profitably, consistently enough to do this for a living. And so I'm happy to debate, you know, these things. Again, not everything in Elliott Wave is perfect. It's not the point. Trading is never perfect. All right. So Bitcoin. So basically, since I was surprised that we have held the 15,500 low last year, but we have had plenty of meat on the bone since then. So even though I was surprised, we have captured a lot of this range as it moves up, and we continue to develop an uptrend off of that low. We have another bullish setup, which I will talk about. And I should say the biggest bottom line you will get today is that there's a great opportunity in Bitcoin and Ether coming up. I do not believe we are in alt season. I do not like the charts, although I will share some alt charts that I like mildly. They're not nearly as bullish looking as Bitcoin and Ether. Of course, as we know, often Bitcoin and Ether sort of pull everything up by the bootstraps. So we'll see how that goes. But I want to be very clear that my money and my mouth is focused on Bitcoin and Ether until the others sort of get their act together. Keeping it real. So that's what I hope you will get out of this in the meantime. But in context, Bitcoin should be heading to 125K as long as this uptrend continues. As I've warned, we are following ABC structures. Why are we following ABC structures? Because the move off the 2018 low, it was a start of a big giant diagonal. The fifth wave of this big third wave here. That also means that there's a big bear market coming after 125K. Again, if it continues to follow through. Because we are following ABC structures, there's always the potential that this forms into a triangle and goes out, perhaps going very sideways into the halving phase, which is what is May 2024 roughly, and then gets its pop from halving. Although that pop right now, it doesn't look like it's going to be very, very immense. Not like the past halvings, but that's very normal when you're in sort of the mature cycle of an asset. The volatility when you're in the fours and fives, where past halvings happened in third waves and got it a lot more ground. We are past that stage and moving into the fourths and fifths, and we should not expect the same level of runs that we did in the past. One of the reasons why I've got blue here in AB is because that potential of a triangle, which again, will make the chart very noisy as we go out. But as we get into this A in the 50K region, 54K is the nominal target. I'm going to cut back a little bit, at least in the swing trade portfolio. I'm not cutting back my HODL portfolio, my long term. I always keep building that and building it and building it. But in terms of swing trading, I've got to cut back a little bit in that 54 region and see what happens, because I consider the blue very questionable. But as we dive into the let's see, I'm going to move this out of the way, which you guys probably can't see. Let me get this square here. As we dive into this, look at it from this vantage point, we have a very strong support level at 26,130. That can definitely break, but I like the prospects of it holding with this 1-2, and that should lead to 3, 4, and 5. And there's a larger 1-2 back here, which projects up to this 54K. I always give my subscribers the place where I'm entering a long trade in a blue box, sort of trade by colors, and in general, to keep risk low, slowly scaling in versus finding that one perfect entry. Like, I give my trading a lot of slop. It's probably a lot more aligned the way institutions trade, where they go in slowly with limit orders versus aping in on a market order, which I think a lot of crypto traders do. I take it a lot more methodically and slowly as we pull into sort of the garage where we want to launch from, or the launch pad, which is this blue box. We're not there yet. Now, above it, we have red, which just means resistance. There may be a reason to take a little bit of profit, depending on how micro you want to trade, because there should be a 1-2 for this 3 that shows up in between. I haven't really mapped that out yet. But once over 33,800, we should be running. and yellow box is the first target zone for profit taking in the 42, actually a little bit in the 41 region. I would call it, I would stretch this down from the 120, 123 to the 161. So just like scaling in here, we scale out there. And then we can talk about trading the fourth and the fifth as they develop. So it's a very nice setup. This is actually quite clean, some of the cleanest work I have seen Bitcoin do in the last couple of years. Again, clean does not mean necessarily a probability is higher, but at least says the parameters are quite clear. Okay, so again, the trade can break if 26,130 doesn't hold, but we haven't even touched it yet, right? So we don't have to worry about it. But we also don't want to ape in here way up high because the setup is nice. Again, scaling wins the game because we want to try to get our costs low in the trade. The closer you trade to your stop, which if you want to play aggressively in the setup, you would have a stop at 26,130. The closer you can get to that, the least your risk, right? That's what I'm talking about, skew. So you want to be able to trade a little bit lower into this support level as possible. And again, I just scale. I wake up in the morning, it's down, I buy. Sometimes even when it's up the next day, I might sell because I believe that it should get down into here. But at the same time, I have a base level HODL position that doesn't trade. I'm gonna take this red off because red, I was watching for a larger B wave pop and it didn't happen. So it looks like to me like we are gonna continue to go down. So I'll take that off and get the noise out of the chart. So and that's kind of the basis of what the setup is in Bitcoin. Again, cleanest we've had in a while. We've been very patient with this development. I mean, what are we into this, a couple months now or a month in this sideways action, both the fourth and fifth and now the two. And we still got a little bit more to go, but it is looking pretty good as long as 26,130 holds. And again, I'm very serious about, again, sometimes the accounts break. So I'm not, but again, right now, until we get close to that level, we can't even really talk about it breaking. The trade is the trade until the trade starts to fall apart. But that's trading, that's life. And we catch some and we miss others. So it looks really, really good. Gather your questions about that. If any, I'm going to move on to Ether. I'll zero back on questions after we cover a few charts. Ether on the daily, just as sloppy as Bitcoin is, with corrective structures off of the 2022 low. But what's different about Ether, again, as I keep saying, is that this higher low when Bitcoin is making a lower low out in the late part of 2022, which set up even more bullishly. So I'm even slightly more bullish on Ether than Bitcoin. That also is portrayed in the Ether Bitcoin pair chart, which we'll go over. I have a lot of questions about the micro, to be honest. Like I've said, I mean, despite the higher lows, this is such a sloppy structure off of that low, and this is my take. Regardless of that, we have, and this can do a triangle too, just like I've said in Bitcoin. So there's also good reason to have the A in blue out here, and then talk about triangle alternatives as we get out there. But regardless, again, of this, oh, and then the target is 10.5 to 11 is the nominal, with the potential of it getting up to 16K, although they don't typically stretch to the high end of the yellow boxes. They tend to hit the bottom of the yellow boxes and stretch into it a little bit and then fall apart. So 10.5 is what I'm going for. Definitely by 12, I'll be out from the swing trade perspective. Again, same thing with as in Bitcoin, I've got a HODL position of Ether that I hold in custody in DeFi or in multi-sig wallets and various places. And so, I'll always own some Ether until it really looks terrible. But anyway, I'll cut back up in that 10.5, 11 region. I mean, I'll cut back several times as we go up and then add back because I also micro trade. As we zoom in, I mean, again, regardless of the mess, it's like Bitcoin, regardless of this mess that we project out here, we do have a high probability trade zooming in. It looks almost the same as Bitcoin. I'm gonna clean up all this mess because it never does me any good to have like every single micro structure on my chart just gunking it up. So I just like to have the structures on there that are required for trading. And let me take off this red as well because it failed. Good, let's get down here. And so support level is 1700 rounded off, again, 786 or 764 retrace from wave one of the wave one is generally what we use as a guideline. I didn't say A equals C. If anybody knows offhand where A equals C is on Bitcoin, we can go back to that, but in Ether to 1780 If anybody knows, they can share for Bitcoin. If not, we can check it out. But at any regards, I'm not scaling into 1780 per se. I'm scaling all the way down to 1700 if it wants to go, if it wants to start stretching. Because sometimes even though we've got an A equals C target, that's where C and A are symmetrical. We often stretch past it. It just usually at least reaches that level. So we should hit 1780 before this is done, and then maybe stretch a little bit farther down in 17. So again, scaling in, watching the stop. Again, if you're trading this aggressively, there are supports below, but if you want to trade this aggressively, especially if you're using margin futures or anything of the sort, 1700 is a good stop. I should say that in my trading, I tend not to have stops on exchange. I'm very good about using stops, so I don't need to put them on. I want to see, because sometimes you get a spike below these fib levels and then reverse. I like to see it sustain like a day before I stop out. And I don't trade so manically with big, large positions in margin and all that, such that I can do that. I like to sleep at night. I like, and I think, a lot of times people are using margin when they're trying to get rich quick. I've gotten rich slow, not rich, but I've made my money slow, methodically. I learned really early that margin, too much leverage, not that I never use it, but it doesn't do anybody any good, especially in your early years. You should learn how to use it surgically. So that's the way I tend to stop out. Some people need their stops, set on exchange below 17. Problem then is that you may get a spike in reverse if it gets that low. But again, the question is whether it gets that low. This thing is taking a long time even to get to the box, which is kind of crazy. So that's the setup there. And then targets, let's see, I should put a yellow box on here, but the nominal target is 277. And then we have a larger, let me see if we can get us out there. There's a larger 5 in the third, it's wandered a little bit in the 3170 region. That's our A. I'll deal with that later. And so the first target level for profit is 2360 up to 2550. So I'll add a yellow box there, which I have forgotten to do. And again, scaling in and out, and then scaling back in the 4s. We'll add boxes for the 4s for micro traders as we get there. I tend to only have what's in front of us. And then key resistance level here is 21,111. Once you're over that 786 extension, you are in the heart of the third. So that should light us on fire. There will be a 1 of a third up in here. It looks to me like it's going to be a little bit low, but there will be that first, and then usually it starts to speed up once you get the 1 of the 2 out of the way in this third. So that's that. Bitcoin Ether pair. This chart is probably messier than all of them. I mean, I have had to change the microstructure of this many times, and I still am not quite positive that that's exactly how it's going to work out. But I am looking to see if it can bottom at 0.05 right now. So and it actually may not go that low because it looks like it just needs one more low. So we'll see how that goes. But in general, this has caused most of my trading to be done in Ether, where I have most of my HODL position, like a little bit slower money in Bitcoin, in multi-sig wallets and all that good stuff, custody. In my trading accounts, I've had a little bit more Ether because of this chart has a higher risk, shows a little bit higher risk to reward in Ether, as long as 0.055 holds. So we'll see how that goes. And then GBTC, I avoid the long term on GBTC because the premium discount issues have really wrecked the long-term chart. That said, it seems like the premium, they're trying to close it. We'll see if that, again, we'll see if they win their case and all that stuff, and are allowed to become a spot ETF, but it seems like traders think that's pretty positive right now. Of course, BlackRock seems to think so too. But we are looking for a very similar structure. The support for this is 14. So this is analogous to 26,130 in Bitcoin, but there is no projection to get us there. In fact, this has a very high B on it. And so it probably is very likely to bottom out in the 1664. Again, that also highlights sentiment. It does seem when you get this high wave 2 potential that's higher than Bitcoin, that you can kind of see sentiment in action. People are a little bit more bullish on closing that premium right now, at least for now. Again, I remain skeptical, but it seems to be playing out for now. And then BITO, again, people that are unfamiliar with this chart for BITO, what I have done is created what I call the synthesis chart when I've taken this Bitcoin and done a multiplier and I adjust that multiplier with a dividend, which is huge. Like now it's running at like it was 4% monthly. So we're running like almost nearly 50% dividend in BITO. Oh, to speak to that too, I had erroneously said that was based on the treasuries held within it, but a member on Elliott Wave Trader SIPKid looked into it, and I had to agree after looking into it again myself. Some of it is treasuries, but a lot of it also is when they roll futures, and if they roll them at a profit, then they have to pay that out. I don't know why they don't label that a cap gains and why they label it a dividend. It is definitely an unqualified dividend, or there might be a statement that says some of it is qualified and some of it is not qualified. Certainly, treasury dividends are qualified, meaning not taxed, or lower tax rate, I can't remember, and then unqualified are the normal tax rate. So it's definitely unqualified if it's based on cap gains. I just don't know why they didn't label it cap gains. Anyway, so I roll the multiplier down with dividend. And the reason I do this is because this will correlate to Bitcoin by 90%. And then on top of it, Bitcoin has after hours action that BITO never sees. So I can't get a good count without seeing those overnight extremes, which again are synthetic in this chart. But it's really worked out well in terms of when I took that on, I had much better counts, much better sense of where the trade is. And in this one, the support level is 1405. I'm going to have to roll the dividend, so it's going to change after the dividend naturally. And then the projection is so profit taking 20 up to 22. So if you want to play Bitcoin in your brokerage account, I am in it. You know, you can do that for sure. The only thing I've warned people is you got to be really careful with using call options, because call options don't adjust for dividends, and you end up kind of screwing yourself if your position is held over the dividend date. All right, so just if you are going to use call options, you got to get out of it before the dividend. Otherwise, you're screwing yourself. And if you're doing lead calls, you're getting, you might get like, if you're doing a 12-month call, you're going to get 12 dividends in between. That's like 50% drop in price. And again, the calls don't adjust for dividends; they only adjust for splits. So you be leery of that. I may do some options after dividends with the setup, but it all depends on where we land. I'll call them out, guys, if we get there. But again, I'm really cautious with it. I've done well with the one option I really like on BITO is sell some puts, because put skew can be pretty high before dividends. And then if you get called in, but it's a great way to enter the stock, and then on the backside use some calls to get a little extra income on it, and those calls get screwed. I mean, you might as well put it in your advantage and sell those calls and sell them before dividend crosses. The only thing I would say is some of that's going to be priced in by put call skew ahead of time, but still you can at least get a little bit of income out of that by doing that. And I trade BITO this way constantly. All right, so that is that. Before I jump into altcoins, that is the bottom line, guys. We've got 1, 2 setups in BITO, GBTC, Ether, Bitcoin. This is where the action is right now. Again, I am watching altcoins for something better. I don't see a whole lot. You're going to see when I get into the charts that they're asking for a lot more downside, except for maybe a few charts. We'll see. Of course, miners have been great. They've just been trending. I just don't like the sloppiness in the chart. I don't really completely trust them. But actually, we got a couple. I'm looking at GMX, right? GMX is pretty timely for a trade. So when we get to that would be good. And as well, Aave. But other than that, I'm not sure we have many trades coming up in altcoins, but we'll cover that. But let's see what are the questions here on those charts, and then let's go to the next step. Let's see on the Bitcoin chart. Where do you see the next high? Is 100K still the projection? If you mean the major high, cyclical high, yeah, 125K. So if we go back to that chart, but again, I always warn, like, that's a far out target still from where we're at. I mean, what is that, 3x? I always warn, like, there's a lot to trade before we get there. I always urge people to trade a little bit. Like long-term investors, can just hodl, and I think long-term investors can do well to dollar cost average as much as possible here. But as I said, this 125 is where we should hit. But again, I cannot say we won't triangle out past the halving date. When I say triangle, it's A, B, C, D, E. So it would be, I'll draw it on real quick, but I want to take it off my chart because it's too sloppy. So it can really, basically the triangle trend lines would be like this. L8 waivers do it from the A, B. So we start them on the B wave and the bottom one on the A. So it would be A, B, C, D, E, and then finally get to 125K versus this very simple A, B. So again, next high cyclical, yes, but I that may be a ways off. It looks short on my chart, but into next year. But if people know me, I've had it back here, and it just keeps moving out. And I can't, the market, our best intentions, the market will delay targets sometimes. And again, there's a very important high coming here at 54. There's always a chance it extends. If this whole thing is a running triangle, it could get a lot higher. So we may see some extension. The extension will show up in the third, so we'll know it back here, and then we'll know that the fourth and fifth. When the fourth shows up, we'll get a bit clearer on the termination. But this is still the basic projection into that 54 region until we have some sort of extension to say otherwise. And so to me, this is a big area of swing trading to cut back. Again, that has nothing to do with my HODL position, which like I buy a little bit of Bitcoin and throw it in a cold wallet every day. A little tiny bit, sometimes $5, sometimes $10, sometimes a bigger buy if we get a big dip. But it's just a discipline, just to accumulate. And I may cut some of that back at 125K, but so you can see how I trade different time frames with different means. And so when you say hi, do you mean this? Do you mean this? I'm more personally, my mind is I care about this right now, because that will help me understand how this is going to happen. This is sort of far out for me to say, okay, I've been looking for this forever, and I still am looking for it, but the means by which the market is getting there has been quite arduous. All right, so hopefully that answers your question. But let me know. Any other questions? Is that it? That was the only question we've got. Anyone? More questions? All right. Well, I'll move on. If more questions, I don't mind going back on the chart. It's all good. I'm gonna hit Ripple because I'm sure someone on Twitter is aching for Ripple. I mean, we saw this great SEC news. Everything is great for crypto, great for Ripple, the company. I'm very agnostic to what it does in the token, because sometimes tokens move on news, sometimes they don't. We certainly got a pop. The problem I have with the Ripple chart is we look back. I mean, I traded it very aggressively in 2017. It was a great chart. We do have 5 waves, best I can tell, going back to that level. I think Jason has a different view where this would be the 5th, and this is a fourth wave. That's possible. It's really awfully long, but I do prefer that we are looking for wave 2. Depending on how this works out, that wave 2 doesn't have to be down here. It could be way up here. This is to be the normal place if the C wave is in progress. The problem right now is the pop of late is challenging the notion of this wave 2. It just hasn't broken yet, so I can't get super bullish about a higher B wave, or even this to me is ridiculous. I mean, it points at like $22,000 out here. I'm not even trading for that. I don't trade moon counts, like I say. It's just I need the moon count to sort of put the basis down for what happens in here. The problem I have with this is everyone's really excited, but basically this has been in a range now for 5 years. So when I see that, my normal behavior of trading is scale. If you want to trade the scale in towards 10 cents and scale out towards, maybe $1.50, maybe $2. That would be the normal way for me to trade a range is developed. And the further this the highest high in this range is made in 3 waves, which says B wave all over the place. So, I mean, very clear, confirmed B wave. There's just a small potential that is A, B, and then there's a C wave in 3, but I don't have any impulsive structure back here. So I have nothing to be excited about here in Ripple. As I zoom in here, at least not on a long-term basis, Ripple Army guys are looking for, whatever level, they're dreaming of big levels. I don't remember what I've seen. But I don't see any reason to say that. That doesn't mean you can't trade it short term. I don't follow it close enough to do it myself. But when I look at this short term, I do see 5 waves. Again, all the structure back here is problematic. It's all corrective slop. But I do see 5 waves here, and I never like to do counts where I don't have a handle on the context, and I really don't. I really don't feel confident about the context, which is the big reason why I don't personally trade it. But it's actually good enough for a trade here, as long as you hold 65 stop to see if it gets a 5th. It's not a fabulous trade, 65-cent stop with a $1.12 target. You know, I'd rather trade something more reliable for such small skew. But you know, I mean, you could get yourself down to like a 3-cent risk with a 60-cent run. That's actually a 20x. So risk to reward. And if you, I'll repeat that because some people don't understand how we trade. If you have a support level here and you trade as close to the support as possible, you can get 3 cents from the stop, and you have a target of 112. That is a 20x skew, right? You risk three points of risk with 20 points of reward, basically. And that's the way I use Elliott Wave. I use it to define skew, and then you know, even if I get a 50% win rate with a 20x skew or a 10x skew or a 3x skew, I'm highly profitable over time, because you know, I think 50 or 60% win rate is a very normal for most professional traders. A lot of people freak out when they hear that, but again, most traders are trading on skew, not on win rate. Again, if you have a quant approach, that's different. All right, so I think there is a trade here if someone wants to take it. It's not one I'm particularly excited about. I don't know, maybe I will. I have the chart up now. I'm interested, but the problem I have is a lot of times when you get a pop like this and you start retracing it, basically when you retrace half of it, the rest of it goes. I mean, that's the only thing I warn about this. So I wouldn't take this again, no trade you should take overly positioned and overly excited about it and falling in love with, like the Ripple army is in love with Ripple. That's a place I never want to be. But you know, there is a trade here if you wanted to take it. So I'll leave it at long term. Again, I have huge questions about the long term chart. So to me, this is only a chart that can be micro traded, and even more than that, range traded. You know, trade the 5-year range. Looks pretty successful to me. Will it be successful in the future? We'll see. So that's that. Then we'll go to BNB. You know, again, this one I do start raising personal questions with respect to, you know, is Binance even around anymore? And since Binance Coin has its own life in DeFi, can it survive without Binance as a layer one? Those are all questions I have for sure. Long term, the chart is one of the best altcoin charts there is. But again, if Binance is going to die, is it going to continue to live? My primary perspective is that we are dripping down to 149, but I am watching to see if we get an impulsive reaction to 213, 212 region, and that could give us this diagonal. If the diagonal sets up fully, that should get us to our target of 1400. Again, you know, I mean, for people that trade the news, they go, "Are you nuts? This you know, CZ is going to get arrested and all that." Again, I don't trade news. That's why I don't trade Ripple, because I don't give a rip about the news. But I'm just trading the chart, and I have a little bit of Binance, not a huge position, and I will probably add a little bit at 212 and then see if it holds. And then I will add into 149 if it doesn't. And then if it starts sustaining below 149, I'm done with it. It will not be a big loss for me. Again, like I say, people, like my altcoin positions besides Ether is under 10% of my portfolio. I like to make a lot with little, because most of them break over time anyway. So it's not like I'm losing a lot if it breaks 149. You know, it is 25% loss, but again, it's all relative to the size of the position that you hold, and I don't have a lot. So that's how I'm playing that. Aave actually looks promising in the short term. We'll give the folks that are new to this just the lay of the land on the daily chart. Again, one of the few altcoins I like, as long as it holds over 23. And then I have a target. I have a target of 3,000. Again, not to be excited about that until it starts to perform on the short term. Right now, the trend is down. But what's interesting, you know, I've had this primary view, and it's a little sloppy. I have had this primary view that I was looking for 23, but it's interesting that, and I had an Alt B up here, and what's interesting of late is we now have a setup that potentially says that Alt B is in play. So trading it short term now, as long as it holds over 54. So that's a 1-2 set up in red. Try to get it to where you guys can see it a little bit better. I'm going to take the layout of the C wave off so you guys can see it a little better. I don't know if it'll get this deep, but support is 54. So again, scaling in to 54, and then we'll have to refine the target. I would like to see it get up to 200 at least. Let's see what we get if we do a 1-2. Yeah, it only goes to 165, but I would like to see this get to 200. I believe that was based on the A equals C. So I'm gonna lower this a little bit here. But again, the problem with the B wave, right, is that a B wave is ultimately going to give us a C wave down. It could be flat with 47 instead of going to 23. That's the good news about getting a higher B wave to reset up. But anyway, I'm taking this as a short-term trade, scaling into this area. One of the few altcoins that's giving us a setup that's worth trading to me. 54 is the stop. I'm not stopping there because I'm going to personally scale into 23. Again, that's how I trade. I trade the broadest support level on a chart that I can, especially with an altcoin. I give as much chance as possible, never getting a large position. But there is a reason if you want to get a little bit more aggressive to get aggressive into 54 if you more feel like stopping out on the first nominal break. I've got nothing below 23, so I definitely have to stop there for sure, but I keep it small so I can make it to 23 if I have to. Matic, and it's just that slow methodical trading that, again, is foreign to a lot of crypto traders. Matic, we'll see if something around the red count can hold out. Right now, it sure looks like we're taking a fifth wave down somewhere close to 43. 43 is not the last stop for this because we have that's the last stop on this long one too. We have the final bullish support at 13. So that's 13 cents. That's a long way down. So ideally, we never get there and we hold 43 for this nice 1-2. It's actually not a bad 1-2. It's just crazy long wave 2. Anyway, and then again, let me get my data. Listen, my data is not working yet. So let me add the Konoji data. So see if we're missing anything. Give me a second. It's like I'm missing too much. But we'll see if this 2 holds. If this is incredibly sloppy action. I've got grid bots working on this one, which I love the chop for that, but not for my own sanity if I'm doing hand trading. LDO should be headed to 66. So we've got a long ways before we can take any action on that. What is exciting about LDO? It does project to 30 bucks. Again, not to play moon counts. It's just a projection, and we'll see if it behaves at support. Mask it should be headed to $2. Let me zoom out on that. Again, nothing exciting. Short term does look like it might be that blue triangle, but needs a couple more waves to prove that out before it continues on. Again, should drop to 180 once. Well, I think 210 is the minimum. Could drop to 180. Support is 140. And again, if that holds, we do have a 1-2 set up for $41. Again, we'll see. Moon counts are moon counts until they break, and plenty of them break. RPL did break down this week. It's only a little break support, so we'll see if it jukes me out. I didn't do any stop outs because I set my trading for the red count, and then if we got the black count instead, I was like, okay, cool. Just means my position is smaller. But it projects to 740 in this red count. Doesn't break the long term, which projects. Looks like my long term has gotten all messed up. Let me fix it at least a little bit. So yeah, so it projects up to 48,000. I know, insane. Again, moon count. Don't trade for that. Just work each range that we get out of it. But the first range is taking us down to 7. Solana is getting weird for sure. I mean, very profitable of late. The problem is, so we got a big B wave expected. It may be this red diagonal. It's got to be the ugliest diagonal I've ever seen, but I'm starting to believe that it'll probably revisit 13 before it tries again for 48 to 60. 40 to 60 is the range for the expected B wave top before it dropped down into this blue box. Which will be, this is a big buy area to me, but in the meantime, I'm not sure it's going to be able to continue with this red right now. It's kind of losing its way. I'm giving it a chance as long as it holds 22, but it's a really questionable count. So I don't have much hopes for it short term, but we'll see if it just grinds anyway. IMX actually is a pretty good setup. And one that I've been just working with a grid bot, but I will do some hand trades if we get down into 60-cent region. A little ugly, but if it can get us 5 waves into like roughly 115, we'll get tighter in that projection as it develops into support. Then we have a really nice setup out here. So I'm trading it as long as it doesn't break 52. Actually, I'm not going to trade it if it breaks 60, because if it breaks 60, it's not likely to hold 52. I will check myself to see if I see anything else, but I'd rather have this ugly 1-2 hold and trading it that way. But if it does hold and get us 5 waves into, again, 110, then this should be prettier and a little bit more probable. So it's getting interesting. CFX, I can't trade it because I'm kicked off KuCoin. If anyone is left in it, you guys that are in Europe, it should drop into 9 cents at least, and then the target is $20 if that holds. Again, moon count is until it isn't. As I say, GMX, this is a nice setup. GMX was a great coin last year. We got out of it with a profit that we had. It was not bad, but now it's trying to set up again with the potential running 1-2 as long as it holds 45. Below 45, it opens the door way down 15. So I will definitely stop out. My position is tiny right now, but it's pretty clean. Actually, it's cleaner on the Binance chart as long as 45 holds. So we'll see how that goes. And this would be, I mean, seeing 5 waves to here and holding that too, that will be even better. Let me up the degree on this. This is off by 1 degree. All right, just want to make it look better. So GMX is promising, trading it. Again, 45 is a stop. Going over to equities real quick before we hit the, hitting equities real quick. Square took the detour into our wave 4. I'm looking at it versus my cost, and I want to see if I can get out on profit on this before we get a drop into 30, well, at least into 40 region. This is an alternate. I will call this an alternate red wave 1 once we're there. If we get 5 waves, and then watch to see if it holds a 2 as an alternate. Again, this does not apply unless we get all 5 waves in the C wave. Because if it forms 3, then we have a WXY for 4, and then it really should drop into 40. And I'm gonna get out on profit if it gives it to me. I think I only need 80, or maybe it's like 77 or something like that. We're almost 76, so actually almost there. Coin, I would be cautious here. I'm getting bullish with this chart, but I would be really cautious with it. Again, I took some profit and I've come down to a core position, so I'm not doing much with it unless it drops into 37. Then I'll add back. But this red 1-2 looks really tenuous, and it's got to hold 82. So just be careful with it if you're in size. I think there's a really strong chance that it tops in the black B. Black B can be up here if it makes another high, because there's really none of this action is very typical of a third wave. So I would just be really cautious with it. Again, 82 is my level where this red 2 is undermined and we no longer have a setup. It's entirely possible that we had a tiny 2. Again, I see that more in crypto charts than equity charts, but again, it makes me very cautious about what this chart is doing. That said, as long as it holds 37, we've got a long-term bullish chart, so it has potential. I just want to manage my trade accordingly. And took profit, so not all of it. I got a core, and I won't do anything with that until we're at 37. Marathon, again, long-term dicey chart, so doesn't say much about that, but as long as it holds 15, I'm looking for 22 next, and then we'll see how this. I'm just trading this chart one level at a time because the long-term chart is so crappy. But as long as we get 22, then we'll add support for this 4 and trade accordingly for the 5th. And I probably won't be in it after that, but I'll watch where Bitcoin is too. I'll factor that in. Hive, I just noticed looking at my brokerage accounts that I was called out because I sold a call at 5, so I'm out. Although I have a put also sold at 5, so I may get called back in. That's how I trade. That's how I trade often. A little complex, but we'll look at the chart. So support is at 450. So I'm out now, but if we get into this 450, I'll add back to the same position I had. I had 100 shares. Basically, I sold a call at 5, so I didn't have a big position. I will add that. And I also have I sold a put at 5, so I may get a doubled up position into 450. 450 is not breaking, is not bad. That would mean we have a high B wave. We have support at 247. It's just we've ridden it up here. We want to at least capture as much as we want, and at least we could keep being in core positions reasonable, but we've ridden this nicely, so I'd want to cut back if that 450 breaks. APLD, I'm going to add this to the weekly chart. I mean, it's a really kind of cruddy chart, but I mean, man, we've had it pegged, trading the ranges. So we'll zoom out real quick on this, but yeah, I'm going to start covering around the report because it looks to me like eventually we'll get 5 waves out of this. We'll see if it does, and then we'll have a very bullish chart. I also like that this is not a miner. You know, again, I have very low respect for or I have very low view of the mining business. It's too tight of a margin, has too many failure points. But this one is more of a data center, right? Anyway, we've done pretty well with this. 547 is support for a fourth. An A wave, again, does not need to have 5 waves, or the C of a 5 waves. Could be a WXY sort of shape in the A wave. I don't think that's really classically viable, but I see it all the time. So, you know, again, breaking 547 just means it's B wave. My stop altogether is $1. I'm respecting the potential of the 5th wave up into the, what is it, 100 to 200 level, as long as, that's insane. I mean, it's crazy the skew on this. I mean, yeah, I mean, I think I'm up like 300% or something just in this little scrap here, just trading in and out. But anyway, breaking 547 is not bad. Well, I will add support for B if it does. But if we break 1, I don't have anything bullish on it. It's broken, it's 4 basically. Okay, so we'll just trade through that. I just again doing the same thing, scaling into the range, into support level, scaling out as we go. You know, rinse, repeat. Pretty simple, pretty easy. I only have a few requests here, and then we'll hit questions and then hang up. So, but we've got 3 requests. First one is Mina. Mina, we've got a dumpster fire basically. Yeah, we had high hopes last year, but it broke support. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm ignoring this because the startup candles should be ignored. They never play out in the count long term. But we're forming 5 waves, so there will be a wave to bounce at some point in time. But we have no indication that 5 waves is finished. Pure dumpster fire. Cores is another dumpster fire. Again, not a very good read on this. I don't trust any of this micro here. It's all corrective in structure. We got 5 down into wave 1. It should hold below 388. If it breaks 388 and sustains, then I don't really know what the chart is doing. Doesn't mean it's bullish necessarily. All of this is corrective crap. I would be really careful about wanting to trade this 4th and 5th. I don't even have good support for the 4th because it's a diagonal. I mean, if you really need to trade it, I mean, honestly, trade something else. But if you really need to trade it, you can draw a channel like that, because the best I got is a diagonal. And but the problem with diagonals, they're valid technically until you break the 2. So because you can break the channel often. They often don't hold the channels. But once it breaks below, what is that, 34 cents, not valid. Again, I don't see any. The only reason to trade this is you could scale in like I do, you know, again, pyramid versus 35 cents and then get out around 160. That can be okay, you know, but you just don't want a big position because this is a trap waiting to happen here with a wave 2. So you got to be very careful. HUT. Again, long-term crappy chart, so not much to say there. I unbotched both this, what is it, 320 for this one more high in red, which is an alternate path for this 3. So 3 will move to there. If it breaks 320, then I'm in the 4. Again, how do I manage that? I just scale through. So I trade based on the wider support. The wider support is technically way down here at 2, but if we sustain underneath the channel, then I'll get out. But again, what I do in such situations when I have 2 alternates like this, I just scale through to the lower one. And again, that means if it just takes the red path and I have a smaller position, I'm totally fine with that. I like having cash in my account, no FOMO, you know. So that's how I trade that. Again, it's that lazy scale in, make it so it's very tolerant to whichever path it takes, and then get out if it breaks. Very, very simple trading. So that's it for that one. Let's see. All right, questions. Greg's got a question. See, BTC. And then you didn't finish your question, Greg. So if you do have a question, let me know. I've got all sorts of people that posted after you said BTC. I've got nothing from you. So maybe your name's way down at the bottom, but yeah, you got to kind of write your question out. You got to finish it with one post. But if you got it down there, I'll get to it. Weekly and monthly charts are Bitcoin and Ether, please. I don't have the monthly chart because My data provider on both of those have broken it, so I unfortunately don't. Oh wait, I've got a BLX chart. I can give you the BLX chart. I do not have it on Ether, unfortunately. I have the versions on Elliott Wave Trader, and I can give you, if you ask me for that, I can give you the link to that, but I do not have it, the chart, because the data crapped out, and I have it on my to-do list to fix that. But I do have long-term monthly BLX. Let me see if it's good though, because I've had to do adjustments. But I can't give it to you on Ether because again, my data broke. It's not labeled. Yeah, I don't have it. So sorry. I have it on Elliott Wave Trader. I can give you a link, or I have it on Seeking Alpha Crypto Waves if you're on the service, but otherwise I can't do it. Curious your thoughts on RNDR. Again, I don't know. Like I asked for subscribers to give me requests the day ahead. I haven't looked at RNDR in a long time, so I have no idea, and I don't follow up requests. You got to put it on the request threads ahead of time. Can you update ETHE? Again, I'll do it on Elliott Wave Trader because I'm not covering requests anymore. Correlation of BTC to GBTC and BITO. So BITO and BTC have a very tight correlation. GBTC is like dicey correlation. It's like I've seen them go opposite directions intraday. I've seen like a strong swing trade in BTC. They rarely correlate on a percentile basis, so I would call that degree correlation. They often correlate on a directional basis, but the problem with GBTC is just that premium to discount level is constantly fluctuating. So it doesn't it's not a very clear correlation. You really can't do it that way. Again, we do have two setups that are very similar, but like I said earlier, GBTC is taking a shallow path in its wave 2, and Bitcoin is probably taking a little bit deeper, but not too deep. So that sort of shows like a directional correlation, but not a correlation in degree. So I mean, that's the problem with correlation. Like, they're not one-to-one. Yeah, GBTC holds Bitcoin, but then you have this premium to discount problem. So if you really want something correlated to Bitcoin in the U.S. market, it's got to be BITO. Of course, people say that, hey, there's a discount on GBTC. I don't remember what the discount is. Someone has it, shout it out. But people are making a bet that it goes into an ETF. I think someone said that Grayscale has said they're going to take 2 years to do it. Well, they're going to be doing that in a bear market if it's 2 years. Most likely it'll be a bear market by then. So that's really not good. You don't want to be long GBTC into a bear market just to get that move to somebody had said that, and I don't have that verifiable. I just heard that on a podcast, so that's no good. So anyway, yeah, so that's my answer there. If anything's confusing, let me know. Did you cover Link? No, nobody requested it, and again, it's too late for requests. The Bitcoin 119K target is at the halving. No, so I don't target based on halving. I was just making, when I said it's not 119, it's 125K, which again, that's splitting hairs for Bitcoin, but I'm not making a date. I never make dates on predictions because again, I cannot predict with the structure we have here, whether this AB is likely or we end up with a triangle. And if we end up with a triangle, it's going to be double the time. It's going to add another year on it, unfortunately, with how big this range is. So I never predict. This is why I never predict time for targets. Everyone wants it, sure. Elliott Wave is a price perspective. It is not a time perspective. If someone's really good at Hearst, maybe Hearst cycles is a timing approach. Maybe they could. I've tried to get good at it, and I found no use in it. But some people are good at it, and they can tell me the date that Bitcoin is going to hit 125K. I have no confidence in that. I'm just saying that is a price target. It's like a magnet, and eventually it should hit it. But how long it takes, when I talk about halving, I was just saying, maybe that last pop happens at the halving, which is May 2024. And I'm not saying it happens at the halving. I'm saying, the halving gets it going. But again, that's just me talking, like, oh, maybe, I'm not giving you any time frame for this. Maybe the halving just keeps it aloft in the triangle sideways for a year, and then finally, some institutions get in there and push it to 125. I don't know. Well, institutions don't tend to push price, but hopefully that makes sense. Like I am not giving any dates at all. The only date that I ever hit it was when I wrote I wrote an article on Seeking Alpha in early February 2018, where I said Bitcoin is going to hit 65K by 2021. to be really honest, and it did, right? But to be really honest, like I was guessing about the timing. I was like, that's about right, you know, and I was not guessing about price. I mean, because the setup had formed in that time period, but back in 2019. But I literally hit the date too by the end. It's about, you know, I just said 2021 by end. But again, that was freaking lucky. I'm gonna be frank, like it's completely lucky. Like again, timing is not my thing. Price is. Let's see. Do you take serious consideration news stories, rumors in your LA accounts like Forex or Binance? Solving rumors scare you from even trading that bullish? I don't because again, how many times in a news story does the opposite happen, right? Like, you know, what are people saying about like as soon as the Ripple news hit, it was all of a sudden alt season, right? I mean, that's a reasonable expectation, but except that all the charts said lower to me, and that's what has happened, right? Like they've gone lower since. You know, when FTX went bankrupt, everyone said it's over for Bitcoin, and we went up, right? Like I don't know how people trade news. Like to be honest, maybe someone has a technique, but I don't see it now with Binance insolvency. I'm only asking the question, like, well, one, you know, again, insolvency rumors are rumors. How many rumors have we had over the years? Some of them ended up being true, right? Like FTX. So one, I don't trade rumors. Like they're useless. All of my BNB is not in Binance. It is on Binance Smart Chain. So I'm in custody of all my Binance. I also made sure I know the bridge path to get those over to Ether chain. So not the BNB, but I can change it to USDC and then move it over. So don't get me wrong, like I'm looking for ways out because I think it's a little scary. But I even asked the question earlier, right? That what if Binance goes insolvent, but BSC lives on as a level 1? It's a pretty good level 1. Like honestly, it's a little centralized, right? But like it functions really well. So maybe it lives on. Maybe the price changes. I don't know. So anyway, yeah, that's my answer. Is I don't. Again, I'm not a news trader. I ignore it. It's like the alt season question. Like even when FTX went bankrupt, I was looking for a bottom-ish, not the final bottom, and it ended up being the final bottom, right? Like the day FTX or a few days after FTX announced that it was going out of business or whatever. Again, the Ripple news, like all the charts were looking lower to me, and everyone's saying alt season, and yeah, it's not alt season. We can stop talking about that, you know. So again, I don't know how people do it. You know, if there's a technique, I'm all ears, but no one's ever explained it to me. I mean, quite often news catalyzes the count in the direction the charts are saying. So the Ripple news made a lot of altcoins kind of bail. That kind of helped us along, so to speak. So anyway, all right. So let's see. Sorry, 2 questions. Ideal Bitcoin 27K-ish. I think it was. Yeah, I never gave you the A equals C level. Let's get in here closer. The A equals C level is 28,250. 28,250. What is A equals C? That is where the C is log symmetry with the A. And it's just a basis. It doesn't mean it stops there. It's just, that's an ideal level. But I like to say A equals C is actually to the 1382, which is 27.4. But it can also, if the sentiment gets really freaked out, they start stopping out of leverage, whatever, we see a spike all the way down to 2630, maybe a little bit below, then spikes back up. And I would still call the setup intact. That's why I don't like having my stops on exchange, because sometimes when the leverage starts going, you get an ugly candle, takes out your stop, and then rises. I mean, I love to trade. When I see the sign that leverage is popping, I'm usually putting in long positions. That's just generally my reflex, because I've been with Bitcoin now for 5 years. You start seeing those big red candles, start buying, because you usually get a reflex. The only problem is when you have something like March 12, 2020, where it kept going for thousands of dollars, right? But if you had bought that day, you were all right. Like, you were all right. It just took a couple months. And so, my general advice to people is buy the big red candles, but don't do it on margin, so that you can withstand it when it keeps going. And then, try to do it slowly, so you have cash, so you can just keep buying lower. Like, I know I'm not allowed to technically give advice here, but I mean, just generally, when I see big red candles, I'm buying. So I would love to get a big ugly red candle, and I would love to actually go a little bit below 26 if the market wants to do it, because then I would just be getting it cheaper. All right, and then the other question was, ETC 1750. 1700 was A equals C. Oh no, 1780. 1780 was A equals C, and then 1700 was support. So like analogous to Bitcoin 28252 and 26130, it would be Ether 1780 and 1700. It was the same analogous support. Matic 43 cents. It should be going to 43 cents unless it holds that red 1-2, but I don't even like that red 1-2. So I don't, I'm just trying to find the reason I have this red count is because this 4 is high. It's a little bit unbelievable, but at the same time, it's not believable as a reversal structure that's going to last. So to me, this is a very much a wait and see. What am I doing with it? I'm just scaling it out because I have grid bots that are just chewing it up. That's the way I trade it. I mean, I don't have a lot invested in it. This is probably my second largest alt position behind Aave, I think, but again, not very big because all my alt positions together are worth, besides Ether, are worth 10% of my portfolio or less. That's okay. Yeah. ETA each is what I gave you. I get it. Can you talk about Matic? I just talked about Matic. Give me specific questions. INJ injective. I assume that's a request. I'm not covering requests. Not covering link. Again, guys, I get a thread out to my subscribers a day before, so we set up all their requests. Gives me a chance to prepare in the morning. Someone tweeted me Tron. I'm sorry, I can't do that. I got to keep some value for subscribers, so I don't take requests in the question box. MSTR, no. Let's see, you guys are throwing the request at me. It's question time, guys. Let's see, target at the halving. I think I answered that, Greg, but let me know if it still didn't. What is going on with Bitcoin? Who is pushing the price down? Thanks. I don't know who's pushing the price down. They're invisible people. Sometimes I'm pushing the price down. Sometimes my subscribers are pushing the price down. Sometimes some hedge fund is. Doesn't matter. I don't need to know who. I just need to know what. And it's going down right now, which is great because it's cheaper. If you have a problem with it, you gotta get your plan in gear there. To be honest, because it's cheaper. Bitcoin is good right now with the setup that we have. You really want to at least be thinking about it. Again, the whole key is just managing your position size and don't go crazy leverage. Or any leverage at all. What is your preferred trading platform? Preferred multi-sig wallet? I don't talk wallets because then, like multi-sig, for instance, people can figure out my secret emails and tell you. So I just say my most of my trading is on Kraken. Fortunately, I don't have any email you guys would tied to it that you guys would ever know. Again, but you got to realize, Greg, that I get hacked all the darn time as someone that's public. And it gets really bad. Like I have 3 or 4, phone calls or emails per week. Somebody on Twitter. I mean, most of them are stupid. Like someone, fake account, like they look like an attractive woman in their picture, and then they want to say hi, right? Like those are stupid. But then sometimes they're a little bit more tricky. So I'm just really cautious about answering these questions. But most of my trading I've done on Kraken. I've been with Kraken since 2013. So not like I was an active crypto trader back then. I wish I was, but I've been with Kraken since 2013. So that's where most of my trading's done. I like it too because it has the Yubico hard key, right? Like I'm not using Google Authenticator. I'm using a Yubico hard key for my security. Also an email that no one here knows. And then their customer service have been great for me. Part of it, they probably look at me like, this guy's a dedicated, loyal customer, gives us a ton of commissions. I mean, I must give them thousands of dollars in commissions every year. So they probably love me, but they always answer my damn emails. So they're awesome that way. I've never had any problems with them, never been hacked. So I like Kraken. Multi-sig wallet, like, again, I'm gonna be very careful with that because the multi-sig has an email component. I don't know, you probably would never figure it out, but there's a lot of good ones. All right, I'll just say it, I like Casa. So there's some other ones I use. I like Casa. I also have some Ledger hardware wallets. I guess Casa is probably pretty hard to break. The only thing I'm, one of the keys, like security wise, one of the keys is on my phone. And I travel publicly and speak and all of that, and so that's why I don't like saying it. But of course, when I'm traveling, I don't have my hardware wallet with me, right? Like it's somewhere else and not even in my house. So that's what's cool about Casa is you got keys in different locations so no one can mug me. Pretty awesome. But anyway, I guess there's ransoms and all that stuff, but I have all kinds of protocol when I travel because unfortunately I've seen it, seen trouble. I think they're doing a lot less of that after the invention of multisig. How is the GBTC discount premium calculated? Yeah, so you would they list on their website how many Bitcoin per share. So you would just so you would go, what is it, like their multiplier times Bitcoin. I forget I'm not great at math on the spot, but so you just got to figure out what the value of the share should be by how much Bitcoin it is. Yeah, then you have the, yeah, that's how you do it. So take the published Bitcoin per share, multiply it by the Bitcoin price. That would be the price, what the share price should be. And then you take and you divide that, you divide the GBTC price divided by what it should be. And then you get the percentile it is of Bitcoin, and the discount is the difference, right? So you know, if someone wants to know the equation, I can do it on Ether, on the Elliott Wave Trader, and post it if anyone's wondering. But there's also charts. You just type in Google GBTC discount, and there's a Y charts chart that you can check out. So they do it every close, so it's handy dandy. You don't need to calculate it. Let's see, what do you think about Riot? I don't like a long-term chart. I don't trade it short-term either. It's got some okay short-term trades, but yeah. Like I said, you know, I'm not pulling up fresh charts right now. What is your prediction for Bitcoin after 125? Big bear market. I don't have that. I don't have that handy. I'm guys, I'm like one of these guys that's like, you know, let's deal with what we have in front of us. You know, it's like yeah, it's like, you know, deal with what's in front of us. What's in front of us right now is 54K, not 125K. Like, I just don't think out that far. I know some long-term investors want to think that big, but the problem with long-term investing in Bitcoin is you just have to be up for the volatility because it's really high, right? Like the range over 2018 to now is 3,000 to 125K, and I expect the range in the future to be maybe as low as 3,000 again. Like it could stop at 10K, could stop at 15K in a bear market, whatever. But again, if it's long-term investor, you got to be prepared for that volatility. It's the norm of Bitcoin. So anyway, hope that makes sense. Let's see. Do you and Jason have the same take on marathon? I don't know, actually. Like, that's one thing people have a hard time understanding. I work on Elliott Wave Trader and Seeking Alpha about 80 hours a week when I include all of my prep, all of my report writing, all of that. I don't have any time most of the time to like get familiar with Jason's counts. It's impossible. Sometimes I have a peak, you know, and then sometimes people want me to break his counts down. I'm like, you know how much work that is? Like, and I don't know, like most people subscribe know better what Jason, every once in a while, Jason and I, when a chart is particularly troublesome, that is a main chart, like Bitcoin is doing weird things, we'll get on DM and talk through it, man. But like, you know, a lot of people, I've heard subscribers say, you know, you guys should have teleconferences to get aligned on your counts. Do you, like, you know, I'm sorry, I'm being a little bit sarcastic, but I'm like, do you know how impossible that is when you're working 80 hours a week just to do the minimum? Really? Like, guys, I would love to give more value, but you know, and fortunately I love this job, but because I used to work 100 hours a week for Samsung design, you know, before I was doing this for a living, and it killed me. And plus traveling to Korea and all that, like I learned to not love that job. But you know, fortunately, I love this job. But it just still, like, even though I love it, I can't just add another thing. You know, think about all the things I'm behind, like fixing my long-term data. I need you know, on the altcoins on the report, I've got to do all this. It's just impossible. Like, I hope everyone understands that it is impossible to totally know what Jason is doing. I just know he's a great trader and analyst. Like, you know, and if he has a different view, you better believe 100% that I respect his view. I may not like it, but anyway. See, hey Ryan, how confident are you on Ether 2800 and then 3000, 3500 for even ARC's count? I don't know ARC's count. Like, I mean, if you think it's hard for me to see Jason's counts and know what he's doing, it's even harder for me to look at ARC's count. Yeah, I have access to his service, but I have no idea what he's doing. You know, every once in a while I pull up one of his Forex charts that I'm trading, but I don't have time to look at his counts at all. So I don't know what he's doing, but how confident am I? Like, you want probability? Again, I don't trade based on confidence levels. Remember, I trade on skew. We have support. I know how to trade so that my risk at that support is minimal and my skew is high. That's the way I trade, guys. I don't care. Remember, I don't mind trading at a 50% win rate, because I trade high skew and I make thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars trading skew, not confidence levels. Like, it means nothing to me. Like, I don't have a computer that says, oh, my confidence level is low right now. All I have is very binary terms like, oh, it's a sloppy chart, it's really low probability. Oh, this is really high probability clean setup. Like the Bitcoin and Ether setups right now are very, very, very nice. That does not mean they don't break. Like, they're just nice. They're clean. More what that means is the parameters are crystal clear. That's the main thing. That means our risk is very clearly measured. Okay, very different concept from, like, you know, the question. I'm gonna be really plain here. The confidence. How confident are you in a trade? That is a question based on fear. Okay, it's totally based on fear because you don't want another trade going down in difficult markets. I would do some, if you're having struggles in your trading, it's a very simple exercise. Start sizing down and getting your feet on stable ground and grow in confidence. It has to be your confidence, not your confidence in the market. It has to be your confidence as a trader. That is a psychological need that every trader must get to. Okay. So again, I don't have any, it's not, I don't even question what my confidence is on the Ether chart. It's just a nice setup. It's a nice setup with a clear target and clear risk level. That's it. That's all it needs to be. I know it's a struggle for some people. They really want that percent level, you know, chance of making it, whatever, they want win rate. The only way I can give you a win rate is if I have a quantitative approach, like, you know, the GBTC magic bus algo, which I've created. Some of you guys don't know what that is. I have a historical win rate. It's close to 50%, but the skew, you know, is like 3 to 1 or something like that, right? That algo has outperformed GBTC since 2020 consistently on a long-term basis, right? But it has done so with a 50% win rate. Think about it. How did it do that? It did it by skew. So I know a lot of people, like, they want to win like 70% of their trades, 80% of their trades, whatever. The real truth is that most professional traders have a win rate that is closer to 50, 60, 40. Like, you know, again, someone can be completely profitable on 30%. I have had quarters where I had a terrible win rate, but I was still profitable with a 30% win rate. So you have to learn the value of skew. What is skew? Again, it is keeping your risk small and your potential reward very high. And then you don't care, you know, you start to divorce from that win rate. Again, I cannot say it enough. It makes life a heck of a lot easier. All right. Okay. So see, Coinbase, and again, if you want more questions, you want to go through that. I know some people are going to want to hang up because they don't want to hear this, but again, if you want to dive into that, I'm happy, because this is where people turn the corner, is understanding that concept. Coinbase advanced trade, no good. They're just their fees are too high. Like, and then their customer service at Coinbase is god awful. I mean, terrible. I mean, I've had, you know, subscribers that were hacked and they weren't getting attention. You know, I'm not saying that, you know, if you were hacked personally, it's not like Coinbase can do much, but they should at least give people attention, right? They're just terrible. Like, I'm glad that what they're doing for the industry, and I'm also a shareholder, but I don't want to trade there for fees and the customer service. So anyway, that's my take. I'm not saying it's really bad, like it's, you know, it's implausible. But anyway, see, will you do private meeting? No, I don't do private meetings at all. It's not safe for me. It's not secure. I can't do it regulation wise. I can't give people personal tutorials or any of that. So nope, no good. I don't mind, like, you know, people come to a member meeting, you know, some of the members I've become friends with, like after I've checked them out, got to feel their vibe and all that. And I've seen the same thing where I've been at a members meeting and I have a bad vibe. So it's just, that's my prerogative. Some people I'm friends with, and some people I don't, but I don't go around just meeting with members as a private base because my security is super key. Anyway, I'd hate to be freaked out, but I mean, that's a place where I do have fear because I've experienced some bad stuff. Are you expecting a bull phase pre-halving or post-halving? I don't know the meaning of the question, like, exactly. Again, I've given you guys a setup right here in front of us. This setup, I don't know, you know, might last like maybe 5 months, may stretch out 6 months. That's pre-halving. This is what's in front of me, right? Right in front of us is this setup where support is 26,130. I don't know that has, again, it's before halving, so that's what I'm looking at. What happens after this? We probably will get a big sizable pullback. That pullback can drift down to 18,000, like again, before halving. So I don't know whether the bull versus bull pre-halving, I don't know, do you call this a bull phase, or do you not call it a bull phase because it's also going to come with a deep pullback? I'm not sure. Like it's a little bit of a generic term to me, but I'm just saying there is a swing setup in front of us right now, as long as 26,130 holds. It can fail, but I'm just saying. All right. Yeah, AL, like again, like, yeah, I'm glad you took that. I'm glad you took that reply well, because a lot of people really, like, out of fear, want every trade to work. The right action you should take, because not every trade works, is getting your position size right. That is number one. It's interesting, guys. As I develop more wealth, my trades actually got smaller. That sounds crazy, right? But like, but part of that too is I also have more strategies that I trade in the past. So to divide my money around many strategies reduce risk. I trade smaller amongst many strategies as I became more wealthy. When I didn't have much money, when I was trading, when I was working for Samsung, I had a very good salary, more than I have now, but unfortunately lived in the Bay Area and was constantly working, and just spending money. It was really hard to handle my money. So to make it up, I would trade aggressively, right? As I, got out of the tech career, got out of the Bay Area, get a little more finances behind me, develop more strategies, I start trading smaller and smaller and smaller. I want to keep more of the money I make. Right? That's a big deal. Like, so now my advice is, if you are still trying to work on the former situation where you don't have any money yet, okay, you want to develop consistency. Trade smaller, get used to 50% win rates, get used to managing risk, and it will grow. Okay, but again, you don't get there by, again, what's your confidence level? Oh, this is a 70% confidence level, and then you bet the farm on it. Well, a 70% confidence level has a 30% chance of breaking. It may sound like a lot, but you have a 30% chance of losing it. So you just want to get that position size right so that you can take those losses. Okay, and again, getting that consistency, building that consistency, learning to be happy. Again, sometimes my win rate is 70% over like a quarter or whatever, but I cannot stand before you and say that over the lifetime of my trading, I average like 70%. I think it's probably closer to 50%. And I know from many professional traders that most of the win rates are around there. There's some quantitative strategies, like my friend Leo on his service, he has like a quantitative approach to SPX options, and he gets like roughly 60% for long runs. That's pretty darn good. Okay, but his skew is 50%, which to me is painful. It's 1-to-1, which is kind of crazy. Like, I try to trade with a 3-to-1 skew at least, sometimes 2-to-1, and then 50% ratio is great. A win rate is great. All right, let's see. What's your take on holding versus trading portfolio side? I personally have a larger trading account. Again, everyone's different. You have to learn yourself. I have for crypto, I have a larger trading account and smaller hodling, because the reason is because when I'm hodling, I have to deal with this volatility, right? Like, so for hodling, I'm dealing with a range of 125K down to 3,000. That's the way I view that. I view that my hodling portfolio, multi-sig, all that stuff, could easily drop to 3,000. So it's sized down. So I'm sizing according to volatility, right? My trading is here. Stocks, I treat differently. My long-term portfolio is bigger, but in that portfolio, I've got like consumer discretionary, like I got Dollar General stock, I've got dividend stocks. Like I pay a lot of attention to the volatility of that portfolio. It puts off dividends. I also have commodity exposure into it. I've got I got some of the hot beta stocks like CrowdStrike and Amazon. Well, Amazon's not so hot anymore, but Amazon, and let's see, I'm trying to think what's another hot one. Like, I don't do meme stocks, but I got like I've got Nvidia. I've got I've cut that down recently. I've got AMD because it's a nice stock. I'm down to a core. Of course, I got BITO in there and all that. It's got some crypto exposure, but in the stock portfolio, it's just larger because actually right now my overall holdings in stock versus crypto is almost even, but my active trading in stocks is smaller versus, and a lot of that is options trading. And then the rest of the portfolio, I pay attention to volatility, and I also do a lot of hedging and options on a long-term basis. So it doesn't move much. Like, I'm not making as much money as stocks, and that's partly because I contain the volatility on it. That's a lot of it. You see, hopefully, you see all of the personal stuff wrapped into it. I'm good with options. Okay, I don't have options in crypto. I'm good with options. I can safeguard my my stock portfolio and then make it larger, right? Like, leave the long term. In crypto, I'm looking at it every day. I can manage a larger trading portfolio, and then for the hodl side of it, like, I'm cognizant of, I know where the volatility is, so I got to size it down. So I have a relatively small position in that regard. But like, again, like, if I have to run and like leave the country, right? Unfortunately, my multi-sig wallet, it's getting bigger, but it's not that heavy compared to my trading account. So, all right. So I hope that makes sense. So I think you got to think about, like, what I'm trying to do is kind of frame up the whys, and you got to think about the whys and say, okay, what's right for you? Like, because your answer is going to be very different from mine. Does that make sense? Best way to become a member, if you look at my Twitter, I didn't do the spiel. Like, if you go, let's do my Twitter account here. Hang on a second. So if you go to my profile, so I got links right here, and then I wasn't able to get the link in here because so it's right there. You sign up, and it's 2 weeks free. No, you don't even need to put a credit card in. So if it's not for you, totally cool. You just don't put your credit card in. Simple as that, which is really nice. And I became a member before I came on staff, like 2 years later. So I stuck around. So click on that, and then when you sign up for this, you get everything on Elliott Wave Trader. So you'll get exposed. You get the stock waves portfolios. You get VXX trading. You get Forex. You get Avi's gold and market. You get Ricky's futures trading. You get Leo, my friend Leo's SPX options trading. Very heady service, but it's where I make a lot of money. Personally, I use the service. So you get a lot of stuff, and then after 2 weeks, figure out what you want, and that's a la carte. So like, crypto is $99. So that's basically. But if it's not for you, you're not going to get called. We're not high pressure. We don't even need you to take your credit card for you to join. It's just we're able to tell who's tried to get many free trials, so don't try it. So pretty simple. That's about it. So it's pretty easy. No pressure. Yeah, that's about it. All right. Any other questions, guys? I wish it included stock waster instead of it a la carte. Yeah, I know. I get it, but you know what? We got to pay our salaries. I mean, the business, if we want staff every time we add a service, we got to add a cost because you got to pay for staff. I mean, it's just real. And we haven't raised the cost in, I don't know, I never raised the cost since I was a member in 2015. So I think maybe once Princely service went up in price, right? I think that was right. I've never raised crypto. We've been 99 since 2017, and there's no intention to raise the cost. But yeah, no, I mean, it's just reality. I mean, we got to pay for yeah, you can do the one trial at a time. Oh, you mean one trial per service at a time? Is that what you're saying, Jai? Yeah, I get it. I mean, you did $3.99 a month. When I was a member, Thomas, I did like $1,600 a month. I mean, I wanted everything. Well, I didn't get everything, but I had so many services I was into. It was nuts. I did pay $1,600 a month. But no, I get it. But again, we got to pay salaries. Like, it's a business, and that business has a lot of costs. So, and we have back end staff too. All right. All right, guys. Well, if you need me, I'll be on the board in a bit. I'll get the video up on the board. Yeah, if you're interested in even if you just want the video and you want to take a 2-week trial just to get the video, because it's so much help, that's totally cool. Like, again, no one's The only constraint is that you can take one free trial in your life. That's the only constraint, but again, it's not high pressure stuff. So check it out if you're interested. You got the links right there. No worries. All right, guys, I'm gonna sign off, and then and I'll get everything up in a bit. So I'll talk to you guys soon.